Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
What's going on, guys?
How would you explain something?
We're listening to Joe Mazzulla.
You guys
Bobby's talking.
got out of the road trip what you wanted to, but then to have this result after that, you know, how would you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say the inconsistencies on the offensive end, putting pressure on your defense. You know, again, the 42-point half puts pressure. You know, you got to be able to score, and then you got to be able to defend. So, just those inconsistencies on the offensive end at times, whether it's shot making, whether it's execution, whether it's spacing. You know, but I would sum it up to that.
Joe, you had called a timeout earlier in the fourth quarter when they made a run, but then when Monk got the open three, then Sabonis got the rebound and he hit his open three. You called another.
Quit touching
it. Seemed
it.
like it was an effort issue there.
I don't have two host podium anymore.
Why is effort becoming an issue? Is it an issue, and why is the fourth quarter becoming such
Effort question.
a troublesome stretch for you guys?
Yeah, like I would say when you're having inefficient offense, it puts pressure on your defense, and so I don't think it's a long-term effort thing. I think you have you hold a team like that to a 19-point quarter and a 23-point quarter, and you have two 21-point quarters. I think that just wears on you, and so whether it's shot making, whether it's execution, whether it's spacing, I think that takes a toll on you. And then again, if you're going to shoot 28% from three, you know you're going to have to do a bunch of other things really, really, really well, and it puts pressure on your defense throughout the game. So we have to be better there.
Joe, it was even at the. It was obviously going to go the.
Get him, Gary.
It was going to be a tough game, even though they didn't have Fox. But they just seemed to play harder than you guys in the fourth. I mean, they got rebounds.
Yeah.
They took 20 more shots. Like that seems to be effort. That's not. Just
Like I said, yeah, it was.
defense.
It is because if you're having empty possession after empty possession,
Gary got him.
They're scoring.
Got him.
That takes
He's on
a
the
toll
run.
on you. And so yeah, I said it's not a long-term effort thing, but in the short term, yeah, I think our inefficient offense put pressure on our defense, and they were able to take advantage of that with high-level, with effort plays, whether it was offensive rebounding, open threes, and you're coming down missing them, and they're coming down making them. It's going to take a toll on you. So definitely a short term, without a doubt. Yeah.
Joe, early in
Definitely
the
a
season, you
short
guys were pretty consistently out shooting your opponents in terms of volume, and obviously tonight was the offensive rebounding. But lately, it feels like that gap has been dwindling a little. Like teams have done a better job of either taking more threes than you or getting more shots than you guys. What have you seen that's gone into that sort of shift?
What part?
In terms of
Like the shot margin in
do you
general?
think it's you guys not fighting for the right shots? Do you think they're putting extra pressure? Like, how do you think teams are? Like, why aren't you guys getting the same volume advantage that you were earlier in the year?
Yeah, I know. I'd have to take a look at that to see what I was. I don't remember it being too in the beginning of the season. We weren't dominating the shot margin.
Joe's slightly humbled.
We won it the last 3 or 4 games, I believe. Tonight, I just thought they out-rebounded. They just killed us on the glass. They just
Little humble pie.
Possessions more on that end of the
We
floor.
playing
They got,
pie later.
more offensive rebounds than we did, and they wanted it more from that standpoint, so they were able to win the shot margin there.
And then in terms of the volumes of the threes, do you see teams actively trying to chase you guys off the three-point line and sort of not bait you, but get you to take other shots other than threes because of how good you guys are at that? And do you think you guys need to fight harder to like maintain the three-point heavy style that was working earlier in the year?
I mean, I think it's never been about. It's been about taking the right shot. And so tonight they were switching second half, and we were able to get some decent stuff with there with KP in the paint. But to me, it's just more about fighting for the right shot, regardless of what that is. When you're open, you got to make it. If not, you drive it and you make the right play.
To the point about rebounding, what was Sabonis doing that was giving you guys so many problems, or what were you guys not doing against him?
I mean, offensively, he had 8 offensive rebounds. Some of that comes from switching, and then when you're switching and you have a small on them, and he's able to take advantage of that. Some of them he just kind of outworked us for him. So I mean, it's one of the best things that he does. You got to match his effort every possession, and he did it more than we did.
Joe, one of the hallmarks I think of last year's team was you weren't falling into the little traps along the way in an NBA season, playing down to competition. First game back after a long road trip, those types of things. This year it seems to be happening a little bit more. Why is it happening a little bit more this season?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think tonight, Sacramento's a revived team. They won 6 in a row now, so they're a good team, and they just outplayed us. So I don't have an answer as far as that stuff. But tonight, I know they just played better than we did, and they're a revived team that just played better than us.
You said before the game, it almost sounded like a warning. You're like, I liked the connectivity during this trip, but the challenge is continuing it. What kind of, I don't know, what are there any sense you had or reason that guys might not be connected tonight, and what did you see in that connectivity area?
Not really. That's just kind of happens. Whether it's you have a lot of games in a row, a lot of games at home, it's really just fighting for that continuity. So it wasn't. I didn't mean it for it to be a warning. It's really just more of kind of like looking at it from the perspective of you got into this little rhythm. Now we're back into a different one. We have to fight to keep the same connectivity. I didn't mean for it to be that, but that's kind of how it played out.
Just a logistical question on the three-point shooting. Do you think nights like tonight, when you guys are shooting sub 30%, is that more you're just missing shots, or is it more like because you're missing shots, you're taking bad shots to try to work out of a bad offense, if that makes sense? Like, what's happening first? Just missing open looks, or bad execution forcing you guys into shots that are maybe not what you would normally go for?
That's a good question. I'd say it's a little bit of both. And I thought in the first half we got some good looks. I thought in the second half we forced some. So I'd say it's a combination of both. Thank you.
I'm here. Get me on here.
You definitely don't look there.
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
I had to shut my TV off. I forgot it was on, and the college football game was on, and I didn't want YouTube to come hunting
Well,
me
don't
down.
tell them about it. Now they will.
I'm not. I just turned it off. Of course, the 3 seconds that I go and do that, the press conference ends, you go change the screen. Anyways, Joe Mazzulla,
All right,
humbled, as you said.
Humbled. Welcome to the Garden Report, guys. Sorry we didn't, do an intro and introduce ourselves on the front end. You know who we are, but at least most of the guys in the chat we're seeing here filling it up. But welcome in for those who don't. Garden Report, Celtics postgame show. Celtics fall to the Sacramento Kings, 114-97. And I mean, yeah, Jimmy, look. I haven't decided how I'm going to play this one yet, but I'll say you cannot be worried, but still be disgusted. I was pretty disgusted by this game.
Good word.
And now I'm officially starting to get a little worried. I can't do this year. Is the analysis?
No, you have to do it this year.
No.
Do it last year.
I don't mean that. I mean, can we call it for what we're seeing? And right now, this looks like an unserious team. And but is the argument going to be all year? Oh, they're bored until it's the playoffs, and that's just what we're going to do. Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to say I'm worried. I don't like what I see from this team. They look like ass. They're half-assing it at times. They look old. They look slow. A lot of those things. And then when everything's going great and the threes are falling, they look great again. But it's starting to be those are the outlier performances, and the mixed bag / crap is the thing we're seeing more of. If you just went through every game of the last month or so and been which one did you feel great about how they played? That's a smaller sample than the other ones, and then the ones who are flat out just bad. So there's a lot of bad in here. And again, they're just now playing with their full lineup for the first time, but it was just
say that
they went in there, they had a decent first quarter, and then they just freaking stopped. And there's more than that. I'm sorry. I'm glad Joe did at least acknowledge, yeah, maybe there's an effort thing. We're getting frustrated with the bad offense, and that's affecting the defense. But also, maybe the bad offense is an effort issue too. Going back to Noah's question, from a while back that he said was profound, Jimmy, that was how come defense is viewed as effort and offense is viewed as a slump? I think offense is effort too. I don't know that you're working hard enough to get those shots. I don't know that you're earning it. I don't know that and they did in the first quarter. They attacked. Jaylen Brown got points in the paint. They got some more open looks. They were better in the first. And then you just see them just jacking threes and walking around on defense. it was effort throughout. It wasn't just they started slumping and then they started playing bad defense. They started coasting in the second quarter. They did. They let up completely. So that's not exactly what Mazzulla described.
Hold on, I gotta freaking ban this freaking annoying dude.
What's he saying?
Just the same dumb shit over and over. And you're gone. Okay. Yeah, you know what? The word that comes to mind is entitled. These guys feel like they don't have to work for it, John. They just feel like they're gonna figure it out and the game's gonna.
This would be scarier here if they were trying. Like Missoula's almost better to call it effort, because if they're trying and losing like this, it's even worse. But yeah, go ahead.
But I mean, tonight, if we're talking about tonight, there were definitely long stretches of this game where it looked, because it was true, that the Kings were playing twice as hard as Boston was, up and down the court, turning defense into offense. And what the Celtics were doing was pretty simple. They were down on their luck, missing shots, and that's just the end of it. Not working for them, not letting their defense turn to offense. The three, I mean, it's always painful when, and this is why, like, live by the three, die by the three is always going to be said. And the Celtics had that hot stretch there where the NBA, everyone thought the NBA was going to have to like change the rules, but it's not going to happen, because there are going to be stretches where the shots aren't going to fall. And you're going to nights like these, quarters like these in the fourth, where everything just goes cold. If you're the Celtics, and Bobby's going to come on here and say it too, the biggest difference is last year they played defense. And this year they don't want to play defense when the offense isn't clicking. They just want to play more offense and just do the same thing. Like you always say, the definition of insanity, do the same thing and expect different results. They're going to have to play harder on both ends, but defense is going to have to be where it starts, because when the shots aren't falling, now the other team's getting out in transition. And look at the shot discrepancy tonight, John. What did they take? 20 more shot attempts. The Kings did 102 to like 84 or something like that. Wasn't close in that department. And when the threes aren't falling, you can't make up for it, because that's how they end up doing it before, because the 3-point threes are worth more than twos, and but Joe Mazzulla ball and all this stuff. It's not always that simple. And so we're seeing a team that doesn't want to play as hard as they did last year. When they played hard last year, you saw what happened. They steamrolled the NBA, went on to win the NBA Finals. This year, teams are A, better, playing, and B, playing harder. And C, the Celtics aren't. They might not be better, and they're definitely not playing harder in too many games. We're having this conversation about back-to-back losses more. We're having this conversation about losses at home a lot more. Another example of tonight, John, you're playing a team without arguably their best player in Fox. You can make the case Sabonis is their best player. Fine. But they're playing the game without one of their best players. A guy that's, an all-star, and nothing needs to be said. But they're without one of their best players, and look what they're doing. They're going out there and they're punking you on your own home court, Friday night game. Fans should be into it. Players should be ready to go back home after a road trip, 3-1 road trip. People would say it's probably a successful road trip. You lost the OKC one. But then you just fall right back into this old habit that you've had this year. Panic might be the word. Worry might be the word. Annoying. You're muted, I think. Or I just can't hear you. Or you.
Oh, sorry.
Here you go.
I'm back. I left this Tatum comment up because I think it's on point, what you were just saying there. Like, we've been pretty apologetic to this point, and understandable. They're reigning champs. They had injuries. I don't expect them to get up for every single game. And again, it's at what point do you feel like it's becoming real? I think we're there. I think we're there. It doesn't mean they're done, but it's real. There's something going on. And again, sometimes you can't put your finger on it, because you might just, it's that whole, this is what bugs me about some Celtics analysis. And thank you, Jason Tatum, for the contribution.
Sorry about your performance tonight, though. We'll get into
Sorry
that.
about that. Yeah, we are going to talk about you. You're totally not soft, though. Don't worry about it. Not soft. But yes, and Jimmy banned people. It's definitely.
I banned that guy for spamming. He just kept saying the same thing over and over. So don't do that. And you won't
So
get banned.
here's the thing. Okay, so let's go through the arc of like Celtics analysis over the course of the last 4 years. For a while, they weren't doing what we thought they needed to do to get over the hump, to win a title, to this and that. And the consensus was they will. They'll grow into it. They'll get better. Like, faith, based on nothing, based on no results. And then they win the title, and now the whole narrative is going to be, well, they did it already, so we know that they can do it again. And that's kind of true. Like, we did, but things happen, like to teams. It isn't, you don't just transplant that team into this year and they do the same exact stuff. Like, they're not the same guys. Like, it's a different team right now. The way that they're playing, it's different. They're not knocking down threes at the same clip. They're not playing with urgency at all, and they're not consistently playing defense.
They're playing with pride.
If you think that they can flip the switch, maybe, and they might, and then the joke's on us. But like, is it real yet? I don't know. Like, I'm kind of getting to the point that it'll be beyond slumping if it continues on like this for longer. It'll be something's not right. Like, and again, it can be player regression. Like, maybe Kristaps Porzingis never gets past 80%. Maybe Drew Holiday is slipping. Maybe Derek White had the best season of his career last year and isn't able to repeat it this year. Maybe Peyton Pritchard was a little bit of a flash in the pan, and he reverts back to the previous version of himself, and you can't count on 20 points from him every night. Like, maybe Jaylen Brown is going to stay in this funk all year because he's in it. Like, he's not playing consistently well right now. He shook it in the first month of last year. He wasn't right at all at the beginning of last year, and he shook it. He hasn't shaken it yet. Like, what if that continues to last? What if it's just not that year? You don't know what's gonna. You don't know that it's gonna.
And you haven't even mentioned, the rest of the NBA teams that are playing,
and the
really
other teams that have leveled up.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's both. And yeah, you don't want to have to worry about control what you can control, focus on yourself. But we just saw
But you hate seeing lazy, right? Like, you hate seeing
lazy,
like,
and then when you see
bad body language stuff, like sloppy turnovers, just like Tatum was gross tonight, and then Brown shut it down after the first quarter.
Brown had an unbelievable move in the fourth quarter that I was like, where's this been? Like, where's more of that? Like, why is this just happening now, down 10 in the fourth? The consistency is what you want to see. I don't know what it is with these guys right now. I don't know if it's just the winter doldrums. It's how many games in are we, John? How many games in? 27-11, 38 games in, coming up on halfway through the season.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I know. Look at that.
That was good.
13-7 at home is sad. It really is sad. And I think, and I know we might talk about it later when you get these comments about players being soft, talking about Tatum.
I love this. We explored this a couple of years ago. The answer is not that much.
No. Didn't we explore to the point where they created the hockey pass stat? Like, remember we kind of got that whole thing going. Yeah. The potential passes and the whatever. 13-7 at home is a joke. When you talk about when people call players soft or teams soft, it's not always in the sense of how they're playing, but I think it's how they carry themselves. I think it's their demeanor out there. I think it's, are you scared to go into their home arena and, are they going to make you think twice about, going to the rim? Are they going to make you think twice about driving on you or pulling up? And like, that's, I think right now with this Celtics team, and we've said it on past shows this season, came on here with Gelso somewhat recently. And we talked about this team's mental toughness and if they're soft or if they're physical, aggressive. And the bottom line is they aren't those things. They aren't super physical. They aren't super aggressive. You might not say that that doesn't mean that they're soft, but they're also not really tough. And a team like the Kings tonight, Sabonis comes in here and rips down more boards, the most boards against the Celtics since Ben freaking Wallace. And then the stat line the broadcast read off tonight was the first time a player has ripped down like 27 and scored 23 since Moses effing Malone, John. I think you were like 30 when Moses Malone did that. But the point is, it's been a long time. And if the Celtics were tough and if they were a physical presence, players wouldn't be doing that. Mediocre teams like the Kings, who are 19-19 and play without one of their best players tonight, wouldn't be coming in and beating you by double digits. Your coach wouldn't be calling out your effort after the game, and fans wouldn't be able to just obviously see it. And the thing is, we've been saying it for a couple of weeks, and they gaslit us, John. They gaslit us. They told us that we don't know ball. Didn't they? Didn't they tell us that? They said we don't know ball. That's what Joe said. He came with a scroll of stats and said, basically, you don't know ball. Here's why you're all wrong. You just
and we don't. Yeah, and we don't. But
besides the point.
But that's not the point.
Yeah. That's two separate conversations. The point is, we weren't exactly wrong in that, blind squirrel finds a nut. You know what I have to say. Yeah. That might have been that time. But they tried to gaslight us. And now tonight, what are we hearing? The same things that we've been saying. Because you can't deny. And this is why I'm not saying slam the panic button, but this is untrained eye. Exactly. We got gaslit into getting our eyes checked. I'm going to the eye doctor all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But the more it happens, the harder it is for you to deny it. The harder it is for you to make me feel like I'm an idiot. And it doesn't take much.
Let's go, Jimmy. Kess wants names.
Who's soft? Wait, want me to rank the soft players?
All right, we'll rank soft players when we come back.
Yeah, it's not even about ranking them specifically, but as a team, you wouldn't look at the Celtics team and be like, this is a bunch of tough guys on this team. They shoot 55 threes a game. They're not built, and that's fine. It's the way the NBA is. And that's, we're going to have this conversation later. The NBA is built differently. It's not like it was in the 80s and in the 90s and in the early 2000s. So Brandon Jennings I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but that's later on the show. But this Celtics team, their identity right now is jack threes and when they don't go in, huff and puff about it and cry about it, blame their ass or you're not playing hard enough on defense. They're not getting out in transition anymore. I mean, Tatum and Brown can be two of the best two-way players in the NBA when they want to be. Same with Porzingis in a way. So, and Derek White. I mean, I can go down the line. I mean, these guys are built for it's like fielding a team of all tight ends in football. These guys are just built to do it all. So it's really hard to figure out why they're having a hard time doing
that. I don't know, but we do want names. Kess wants names, and I understand it. I understand why
he
wants
that. Pull up the roster, Kess. They're your names.
So we'll talk about it right now, but it's less about soft and it's more about potentially regression in some cases. And that's the scary part is you have a veteran roster and you have a couple older guys. And yeah, that's always going to be a fear. But right now, some guys look worse than others. We'll talk more about who's soft. Is there a soft pie we can do?
I don't think soft is the word.
Soft is not the word. We're only using soft because Brandon Jennings did. We'll talk about those comments as well later in the show. First, here's a message from one of our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's NFL playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with PrizePicks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. You pick more or less on at least two players for a shot up to win 1,000 times your cash. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks.
Dude, what the F was that?
Don't worry about me.
Dude, I want the live read so I can finagle my way in.
What are you talking about? Well, we're doing everything. Here's the rest of it. No, so I'm going to look at some of my picks right now and what we like. And I like Nico Collins to go off in this game. I really do.
You're a Nico Collins guy?
I'm all in on Nico. I'm looking at. I like to play 4 here. I like Derrick Henry scoring a touchdown as well. I've got Nico with it.
You're a more guy. Everybody knows that. You're more and more.
I'm a more. It's like going to the. It's like I never do it. I'm always more. I'm staying.
Yeah, like
positive
who's
here.
like more punts? Like nobody wants that. Like
no,
I'm
so
trying
I'm trying to
hang out
lock
here.
it. I'm trying to lock in my last one. If anyone has something they feel really good about,
I'll be honest. The desktop is a whole nother beast. Wow, look at you, $100 in the account. Nice.
Yeah, we're thinking about it. So we'll talk about it more, but as we get closer to game times, I'm thinking about it. I might put my picks up there.
What do we get for never mind.
So yeah, you see it right here, guys. Sign up. It's fun. NFL playoff time. New users play 5, get 50 instantly. Back to the show. Back to the show. We're gonna get Noah and Bobby jumping on from the court in a little bit. We'll hear from some other guys.
Noah's shaking in her boots. She knows Blame Pie is coming strong.
Oh my God.
She's not happy about it.
So why are we talking about soft?
Are we doing this?
We'll bring it up because everyone's jumping on the soft. I mean, it's crazy in the chat right now. I don't think soft is the right word. But Brandon Jennings on Gilbert Arenas podcast threw it out there. Really had nothing to back it out.
It was 7 minutes of pain. I watched it earlier. The whole clip. Brandon Jennings, Nick Young, Gilbert Arenas, 3 and former NBA players.
He called Tatum the softest Celtics superstar ever. I don't know why it came. I don't know why it came about, but it did. It's a weird take because it was out of nowhere and it was unfounded. But again, it doesn't matter if it's right or not. A bunch of Celtics homers are gonna run to his defense. I don't think Tatum's soft. I don't think he's tough per se, but I don't think he's soft.
No.
But I mean, if you're talking about softest Celtics superstars ever, well, let's rank the superstars. I mean, KG, Pierce, Bird. I mean, those are tough. I mean, KG, Bird, those are tough dudes. Like there's really tough. And then there's soft. I don't think Tatum falls into a soft category, but it doesn't matter. It's not whether he is or isn't. It's not the debate. The story is that he's been put on notice again for the perception of his game. This is kind of a carryover, which is funny because he's like a top 3 MVP guy this year. And overall, he's mainly leveled up his game. So it's a strange bit of timing for it. If you're going to point fingers on the Celtics going through this little malaise right now, tonight Tatum was awful, but he's not the guy. He's not the main culprit at all.
No.
So it's strange. But again, it's not the story if he is or isn't or how well he's playing. The story is it got put out there again, out into the world where people are talking about it on whether Tatum is soft again. And even Joe Mazzulla talked about it pregame.
Last year and in the past, I always told him that, I never believe that. It's never going to happen. To ask for that is just impossible. You guys wouldn't have a job if that was the case. So you got to keep doing it. And so that's really part of it. We talk about that. And I think there's a lot of examples around sports that kind of humble you. You see people lose and go through difficult times where they're getting criticized, and then 2 months later they win, and then it's like, look at it. Don't put too much weight in the praise or the criticism because at the end of the day it's fleeting. So but you got to have perspective. But I do, one thing that I did do for them is I gave them a timeline of a certain player in the past career who's great, and I gave them a timeline of like, here's what was being said about him in the beginning. Here's what was being said about in the middle. Here's what was being said about in the end. And it was comical that he keep bouncing back and forth of the opinions. But you try to just shed perspective because every player has gone through something. If you want to be great, you're going to go through that. So as long as you maintain a level of perspective on that's the most important thing.
Would you like to share which player?
You're muted again.
Mazzulla's correct. You're going to get that. That's a really fair perspective. You got to get used to the smoke when you're at the top or if you're struggling. But once again, it's thrown out into the world where Tatum feels compelled felt compelled to defend himself against it. And then it causes people to run with it more. So entering this game, you've got the Tatum soft narrative that he had to beat back for some reason. Then he goes out and plays one of the most ass games of the year, like
he's like, oh, you think that was soft?
So
Watch this.
watch this. So like he's not beating the allegations tonight. So that's
you know what? And by the way, and I'm including myself here.
But it's a dumb convo. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is why there's any idiot can have a podcast or be in a podcast, right, John? And yeah, hi, how are you? And say stupid things. And honestly, I know that Gilbert Arenas' podcast is popular. I didn't even know about it until Tatum put it on Instagram. And I would imagine that's the case for a lot of other NBA fans, certainly Celtics fans, because not a lot of Celtics fans are watching Gilbert Arenas' podcast. And after the 8 minutes that I watched, I can see why. Complete nonsense. Brandon Jennings sounds very uneducated. Sounds like a moron. Throws this out there. Had nothing to back it up. He was drinking something on the podcast. I don't know if it was alcohol or what, but he wasn't making much sense. And Gilbert Arenas, I'll give Gilbert Arenas credit. He shut it down the entire time. It's like, how are you going to call him soft? He averages 28 a game. If you're averaging 28 a game, you're not soft because that means people aren't stopping you. And so stats aside, the fact that they won a championship, Brandon Jennings says he's soft because he let Brown be the MVP. If Brown's the MVP, then he must be soft because blah, 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 and all this stuff that made
What's funny is Arenas normally has the worst takes.
He does, and I think he was even
awful takes
by this one. And then Nick Young's in the corner, like being Nick Young, like he always is, just like giggling and offering nothing at all to the conversation. Listen, it's kind of a stupid argument because Brandon Jennings, fine, yeah. Paul Pierce, KG were tougher. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, go down the line. Guys played tougher. You can say that probably about any current day athlete, or at least 95% of them, and compare them to a guy that in 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, style of play was different. I mean, these guys were coming off, their day jobs and showing up to play basketball, John. Of course they were just hacking away and being tough out there. It's a different game. And it's the way and we've said this about Tatum.
Jimmy.
Center.
There we go. Yeah.
Sorry, there's my camera.
I was afraid I was going to lose you there.
We've said this about Tatum.
The hotter you were getting, you were getting over to here.
I'm going down the stairs. I'm shouting. I'm like, where is everybody?
You hear that, John?
Yeah. And one other thing. It's the way Tatum. It's the way Tatum carries himself. It's very calm, and I've even criticized it in the past. I want this guy to be more fiery, be more aggressive, be angry out there, be this, be that. He's just not. That doesn't mean he's soft. That's just who he is. And you know what? It's gotten him this far. He's a top 3, 4, 5 player in the NBA. He's not going to change he's not going to change who he is. He's not going to change the type of player he is. And so
no, he does it right here.
Yeah, I've never needed to do that before. And so if you don't like it, then fine. You don't like the way he plays the game, but that doesn't mean he's soft. I think but the fact that he is the captain of the team and is the best player of the team, oftentimes the players can sort of, in a way, take on that identity behind you. So if you're more of a reserved player and calm and whatever, then you're probably not going to get a bunch of hyenas behind you that are crazy people. You know what I mean? Like they're going to probably take on a little bit of what the captain and what the best players in the team take on. And even Jaylen Brown, he's more physical and aggressive, but he's pretty cool, calm, and collected out there in most cases too.
Like I said,
that's who this team is.
So I think that this is a fair conversation in the sense that,
He's not soft though.
But it's not even.
You know what, John? You know what? He plays practically every game of the season.
Yeah.
You want to talk about soft? Let's talk about Embiid. Let's talk about guys who sit half the year.
Here's the thing. I always think for the people who are going to jump to Tatum's defense on all of this stuff, nobody's perfect, right? Like Jason Tatum is a tremendous basketball player, top 5 player, and probably a top 3 MVP candidate this year. Like that's not going to change. regardless of whatever anybody says on a podcast. But ultimately, it's really, again, about the perception of Tatum and why there's an issue with it. And there's a reason, and it's demeanor, and it's never going to leave because he's always going to be that guy. He's going to be a target for it forever. It's just, I say flip it. Jason Tatum plays somewhere else, and you're a Celtics fan. Is the first word you think of when you go to describe him tough, hard-nosed, gritty? No, because his overall vibe is kind of down and sleepy and a little bit passive, and he's not a in your face, go flying into the stands sort of guy. So that's how people are going to perceive him now and forever. It's never going to change. If he were somewhere else, Celtics fans would call him soft. They would, because they'd look at him and be like, that guy, all he does is hunt for fouls and bitch to the refs. That's what people would think. That's never going to change. That's always going to be what people think. So people just got to get used to it forever. But it's the way he talks. But what I will say is this. When things are great, it doesn't matter, because you can say Tatum's your quiet leader and Brown's the guy who comes out there and plays with fire. And then they've got, adults in the room with Holiday and this and that. But when things are going bad, that's when you're looking around and be like, who's going to lift these guys? And during those times, that stuff comes up, because it's like, well, if you're going to follow the lead of your leader and he's sulking with bad body language and turning the ball over all over the place, that's not great. And now we're back in this Marcus Smart situation where, like, well, Marcus has to kick them. No, your fourth best player is not supposed to kick you in the ass. Your best player is supposed to kick you in the ass. It's a gear Tatum's never going to have. It's never going to be something that's in his bag, and that's always going to be there. So you just live with that, both in terms of the perception of what people are going to continue to think about him and the reality. And the only way you get rid of it is winning it all, which they did last year. And so they erase all of this.
And then people are still hating on him. Like
people
I said,
are still going to hate him. It's never going
people
anywhere.
hate on him more now. I've never seen it in my life. Guy wins a banner or a championship, and he's actually clowned on more for it because he didn't get MVP. He goes to the Olympics. Kerr embarrasses him. He has like the worst summer of his career after winning a freaking title. And so, on the other hand, these guys still have a lot to play for. They can't just ride off into the sunset because they're already seeing the criticism coming their way 30 games into the following season. So there are still no days off. I mean, but the other thing is this, Tatum, consider the source, man. I mean, Brandon effing Jennings, this guy was a career bum. Really, he was.
Except for his rookie year.
Except for his rookie year. Didn't he go overseas? He didn't go to college. He went overseas. He was like one of the first guys to do it, I think, to skirt like the college rule after you couldn't go out of high school, I think. He's a career bum. Fine, he had a good rookie year, but then how many teams? He jumped on like 5 teams around the league, and I can see why. I couldn't listen to this guy talk for more than 5 minutes, didn't make one single point. I don't even know what his beef is. I really don't know what his problem is, but clearly he's got one. He's got time, though. He's got plenty of time. And it's a shame. And it's the most screen time and airtime that Brandon Jennings has ever gotten. And this guy played in the NBA for a number of years. And I don't know what was so tough about him, by the way, either.
Nothing. I think
it
was a throwaway comment. As for the game itself, moving off of the Tatum soft stuff, because we'll bring it back up with Noah and Bobby when they get in here. Celtics struggling at home, falling to 13-7 at home this year. That's not good. 6-6 over their last 12. And Kristaps Porzingis was asked in the locker room, kind of like this whole, and you know what I can't stand, the every team is gunning for us thing. I don't want to hear that. Just go play freaking basketball. Don't worry how hard the other team plays.
Like the freaking Kings. Yeah, seriously.
Porzingis asking, like, what's going on with you guys here?
You guys aren't down 20.
Yeah.
I mean, why aren't you guys giving that maximum effort at times?
Honestly, it's some plays just, it just happens. Like, it's not like we're not trying. Like, oh, I'm thinking this guy go, I'm not going, and we just stay in the same place, and it doesn't look perfect.
The hell?
But we're gonna get past it. We're gonna be fine. We'll figure it out. I'm telling you, like, I'm confident we'll bounce back. We're just having not the prettiest moment right now as a team, and it's completely normal, So I don't need to like be like negative and Believe me, we'll figure it out.
I don't know
wanna
what the hell
believe
he
him.
just said.
He said that they're having a tough moment, but he's confident they'll figure it out. I want to believe him because I love Porzingis'
Listen,
general attitude and vibe here.
Sure.
With that, which is great.
But he's had to answer questions like this now a few times recently. He leaked a team meeting that may or may not have actually happened before they went on the road trip.
Yeah.
And, give the guy credit for having the right attitude and all those things. But they're playing with him. He's playing, regular minutes now. These guys are as healthy as they can be. We're talking about a Kings team that is they're playing good basketball right now, but they were undermanned tonight. And wow. You have the target on your back. You already know that going in if you're the Boston Celtics. Just play your game. If you just play your game, you're going to be better than 90+% of the league on every single night.
Yeah.
But I watched OKC against Cleveland a couple nights ago, John. Probably one of the games of the year. Those teams are playing good basketball. Those teams are playing excellent, sound team basketball right now. And I don't see that from the Celtics. And this isn't just 1 or 2 games, guys. This has been since like the beginning of December. We've been having and most of December, we're not panicking, we're not this, we're not that. It's whatever. But the longer this goes on, all of a sudden it's 6 weeks in, 7 weeks in, 8 weeks in this like up and down 500-ish basketball here.
Yeah.
You just wonder if this is kind of who they are this season, if this is something that they can get themselves out of. We know the talent was there, but they've been sliding right now. Maybe they just need the All-Star break. Maybe they need a little break.
They have been sliding, no question about it. And I'm like I said, Bobby's going to come in here. You're going to get an interesting Bobby.
We always get an interesting Bobby.
He's coming in, and he's going to be spitting fire about 2023. And I've been telling you about this team all along, and I'm not going to say that he's wrong anymore. I'm not going to say he's right, but I'm in that. Yeah, maybe we can start talking about whether we've got issues. We're going to get to Noah on the court in a little bit. Bobby's still in the locker room. First off, we want to give you another message from one of our sponsors.
This episode is also powered by Game Time, the best place to get tickets to the games, events, and concerts you want to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Game Time is filled with terrific features like all-in pricing, so you know exactly how much you're paying. No surprise fees at checkout. You also get panoramic views from your seats in the app, so you know exactly what you'll be looking at before you buy. Plus a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, download that Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. What time is it? It's game time.
It's game time, Jimmy. You want to check out the Pelicans? Zion Williamson suspended for 1 game. He might be back. I think he'll be back for this one. He missed.
Yeah. He's not going to miss the Celtics, I hope.
He's not going to miss this one. But there's still some decent seats available, some really good seats here. I guess people want to stay in and watch the playoffs. Again, you're pretty close to the action here. Terrific. Look at these 250 prime center court seats. Wow. That's an incredible
great deal.
seat. Incredible seat, incredible deal. Great job here. If you want to get in on Game Time, make sure you check it out and go to Game Time. You saw the deal.
I might buy those right now.
Huh?
I might buy those right now.
Yeah, you saw the deal. And you know it on the screen there. Sign up for Game Time right now. Use the code CLNS and you can get
Zion. Should we go back to our Zion Ingram debate?
You can get your code CLNS 20 for $20 off here. Use the code CLNS, download the app, $20 off your first purchase. Let's bring in Noah Dalzell on the court, fresh from the locker room. And
all right.
Noah.
Slice it up.
Noah, Joe, He did it. He said effort. He said the E word. That there was lack of the E word. Is that what happened here? You guys broke him. Oh no, I don't have Noah's mic. I don't have Noah's mic. We don't have your mic right now.
What's lip read?
We don't. Noah's saying you hate Jason Tatum.
What did she just
That's so already.
Laugh
That's
at
so
Tatum.
weird. The crowd knew. The chat has known this. All right, we'll get Noah.
Now we can
Wait,
hear.
I hear something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. So what happened? Joe Mazzulla acknowledged it. Effort. We said missed shots made them sad. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even in that moment, Gary said the word effort like 5 or 6 different times. I don't think that he really had. I feel like he was more referring to specific plays. I don't think he's willing to say like there's an effort problem. I don't know. Maybe you guys interpreted that as more of an admission, but being in the room, I didn't feel like he really said much. Felt like he said the same things as usual. Offense led to defense. He scored 42 points in the second half. He said that a bunch of times. So I feel like if you asked him right now what the issue is, he's talking about the offense. And as I was looking through my quotes, trying to figure out which ones to post, I was like, they all say the same thing pretty much.
No doubt, but that was the thing. Kind of like my quibble with the question that you hit him with, where it was like, why is offense a slump and defense is effort? And I counter with, I think offense is effort, and sometimes lack of effort on offense leads to poor execution, poor shots, not knocking things down. And it's do you think they were working hard enough for the looks that they got, and this is just a shrug your shoulders? Well, they didn't fall. We got good looks game.
No, not at all. I think my interpretation of what went wrong offensively in this game is that I think as soon as they start missing shots that are good looks, they're not being resilient offensively to continue doing the things that they know have historically worked. And I asked Joe, he didn't really answer. He said kind of both, but I asked him like, what's happening first, right? Is it you guys are missing shots and therefore now you're no longer trusting in the process and now you're taking bad shots?
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing a lot. Like there were some ill-advised drives, forced threes, just bad decisions on offense. And then
Tatum dribbling into people's legs. Yeah.
Right. Jaylen had a reverse layup hook thing. I don't even know what that was with a few minutes to go. Like there's a lot of offense that is just, it's just completely out of sorts. And to me, it's a lack of trust almost. Like there's not that same level of trust that we saw earlier this season, most of last season, where no one's going to force the issue because that the right play is right there and that the right shot is available. So I don't know. I think that ends up being a lot of the problem.
It's bordering on cavalier, like in some of it's not valuing possessions as much, which is like there's a YOLO approach to some of it, which is like, I'll take this one. What it could fall, so it is interesting. But again, I'm not trying to be a troll here, but like, the big story about
always a good way to start on.
I'm not trying, but like there's a word for that when things don't go your way and you quit, and it's called, starts with an S, ends with a T. There's an F in there somewhere.
Why do I not have the word?
There's also an O.
What's the word?
It's 4 letters.
Soft.
Oh,
because
come on.
I know, and I'm not being a troll. What I'm saying is
You're being a troll, John.
No,
what word did you think it was?
I don't know. I was running through the alphabet. I couldn't even. I had no idea.
I hate shots didn't fall, so we stopped trying on defense, and then we got even worse on offense. I hate that. Like, shots don't always fall. Is that how it goes? The shots don't fall, and then you just completely come to pieces? Like, that can't be who you are, and it can't be an explanation. Like, it can explain it, but it can't be an excuse. It's not I don't understand leaning on that as something. And I know Joe's not going to go out into the media and start bashing people around, but this is about as close as he came, which is like, yeah, we really played like ass because our shots weren't falling. And that's basically what he's saying. He's not going to go out and say it fully, but he's kind of sort of calling him out a little and saying, yeah, shots didn't fall and they kind of stopped trying.
I don't know. I actually didn't interpret his press conference that he said that. I think that he was more saying, if you score 42 points in the second half, like, you're not winning basketball games in the NBA. Like, you're just not. And
But
so
why?
he's not going to.
Are they
Why are they scoring 40?
Yes.
I mean, he didn't really want to answer that question, but you're asking me why I think so?
No, I'm just screaming into the abyss, basically. But I think I kind of, when we watched, maybe we heard wrong, or maybe it was, we watched it on the show. It did sound like he, at one point, I think it was a question from Gary, admitted that the effort was short term, but it was an issue.
Yeah. In this moment, I do think effort was an issue, is what he was saying. It's a short-term issue. I don't believe it's an overarching problem with the team, but he's kind of acknowledging, I believe, and the way I interpret it too, we have seen some of this lately where this is happening. It's a thing that's happening in the short term, but he's not ready to say that it's a problem that's, plagued the team all season long, or necessarily, endemic, but it's current. It's happening right now.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I'm curious when Bobby jumps on what he interpreted of that press conference. And honestly, it doesn't really matter because most of what we hear from Joe after a loss is him just deciding how he's going to minimize the damage and, try to not have big stories that are panicking about the team come out. So
he did a good job.
I think so. I think he generally is honestly pretty good with how he answers questions. At least since I started covering him, I think he knows how to avoid saying things that are going to be inflammatory and giving us any fuel and fans fuel.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
And using usually.
Do you have kids? We do have, I believe, Jason Tatum coming to the podium. So we'll take a pause. And again, don't tell me how sleepy this makes you guys. I want to hear from Tatum.
This year, it just feels like you guys, there's always like some traps along the way in an NBA season, right? There's guys out, whatever, you play down to the competition a little bit. Last year, it seems like you guys kind of didn't do that. And this year, it feels like you might be falling into some of that. Is that happening, and why is that happening?
I don't want to blame why we lost today on it being a trap game. Everybody plays 82 games. Everybody travels. Everybody plays back-to-backs. So don't want to use that as an excuse. Observation that we got to be better in all areas of the game. Especially, didn't really watch film. We will tomorrow probably, but just kind of thinking back on what happened throughout the game. Down the line, everybody, we just got to be better.
Jason, in the last 15 games, you guys are 8-7. Overall, you're fourth in defense, but in fourth quarter defense, you're ranked 26. What, by your estimation, is kind of the root cause of that, and what's your responsibility there?
I think, partly sometimes our offense, whether it's our spacing, whether
it's too late for Tatum, man.
Tonight we had a lot of turnovers. I did, in particular. All those things play a part, and our defense needing to be better.
Jason, the threes weren't really falling for you guys tonight. It feels like you guys have had more of those inefficient three-point nights this year than you did last year. What have you seen that's been going into that? Is it just a slump? Is it execution? Is it defenses pressuring you guys more? What do you think's gone into that?
I think it's part of the season. Probably spurts. We shoot the ball better, and some spurts that we don't. As long as we take the right ones more often than not, I believe in our ability and whoever's shooting the ball with confidence.
You don't often respond to criticism, public criticism, but on Instagram you went back at Brandon Jennings a little bit. What made you kind of clap back at him for calling you the softest superstar in Celtics history?
I don't know. Had some time yesterday.
I'll take it.
Something about that particularly bothered you?
No. I wasn't mad. I just had some time yesterday.
And then you win a title last year. You probably think, a lot of the criticism is going to go away.
Jay's going to have to answer it for him. He's not going to do it.
Yeah.
And then you go to
he had time,
Olympics.
Jay.
Obviously, you had
lead him down the road.
There, and then you've heard some things. Obviously, you saw what Brandon Jennings said. Like, how have you reacted to just the way that's gone? And were you surprised at all the noise didn't go away, that you didn't answer those questions last year?
Surprised, no. I think it comes with being one of the best players in the league, and the more you accomplish, the more it gives people opportunity to nitpick at things.
The reporters are morphing into the players.
I wasn't who I was or at a certain status. You know, people would probably not talk about me as much. But you know, I'm not the first superstar in league history to deal with this. It comes with it.
Just piggybacking off of that, initially, Joe said that he showed you and Jaylen the timeline of another superstars, the criticism and the commentary they received at each stage of their career.
Trying to
Did
get
that
this
help
answer.
to put it into perspective of, like you said, okay, the best
Who was the
players
player?
go through this, even when sometimes the commentary can be ridiculous and not rooted in reality?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I guess it helps seeing it, put things in perspective. It's nothing that I didn't already know. You have the internet, you can look at some of the ridiculous takes that people on TV have said about some of the best players to play this game.
Here you go, John.
That didn't necessarily age well. And, you know, when you see some of the comments that they made about certain guys and how their careers turned out.
Because we can.
You just got to laugh. It's, I guess, part of the journey.
And then regarding a night like tonight, when the offense is putting pressure on the defense and just kind of feels like the spiral, especially with the success they're having on the offensive glass in the second half, what is the hardest part about just breaking that cycle and building some momentum?
I think just the team being comfortable. You let guys in the NBA play a quarter or a first half or three quarters being super comfortable. You know, those possessions become a lot tougher to get stops when you need necessarily everything to try to go the right way. And now they're feeling really good about themselves.
Jason, the third quarter you referred to the turnovers. Like, how do you break through when you're not as crisp as you like? Personally, when the passes.
We'll skip it.
Oh, it caught me yawning, bro.
I
Went
did.
Full screen on me yawning, man. Although I'm sure
We'll
the
bring-
rest of the people
We'll bring
watching are
these
doing the
guys on.
same.
Bobby and Noah. Bobby's rip raring to go. So I'm going to start with Noah.
Bobby.
I've cooled down. You're lucky I didn't come on after the game.
That's what we wanted.
I kind of wanted you right out of the gate to spit fire for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, everybody saw
Can
what
I do
did.
Bobby? Can I do Bobby?
Go ahead.
Please.
No, you do it. Go ahead.
I don't know what happened here. And
It's
we
the
all saw it.
defense.
It is the defense. And they're talking offense and they're talking shots and this and that, the pace, the management, and I get it. But if you could just lock down a team like this, play the best defense you can, and they all admit it. Jaylen relented as much that when the shots aren't falling, when the offense is falling apart, they're just not the same defensive team. And that's, I think, the through line of all their struggles here over the last 15 games when they've been at their worst is shots aren't falling, the offense is going dysfunctional. And just, I'm going to keep saying it, John, 2023, the defense is falling apart and they're saying offense, offense, offense. Like, there are games through the stretch here where they could have clamped down, maybe not tonight because the offense was so bad in this one. But there are games over this last 15-game stretch here where if they just clamp down defensively, we saw it on the road trip in Denver. Houston was a great example of it. If you bring it on that side of the ball, you can survive some waves offensively, and they're going to have them. They're a shooting team. Not that they're going to lose every night that they shoot poorly, but it's going to put them in a tougher position, and you have to bring the defense on those nights. And we're far enough into the season now where we can say it's just not the same on that side of the ball. And everybody's back at this point. And I know they're trying to get the cohesion, and I get it. They're playing the long game. Kristaps Porzingis said they got to peak at the right time. It's all valid. But you have to start to put the habits into place, the consistency into place now for you to be able to do it later. John, it feels like they feel like they can flip a switch, and they're not going to be able to.
I don't know whether but here's the thing.
They're not going to be able to. How can you play like this now and then just go full throttle in April, May, June?
I'll throw this back at you. Like, I actually think what's funny is pinning this all entirely on choice and effort is a cop out. Like, that's an easy way out for them to say, like, oh, we just didn't try. Well, sometimes they are trying. Sometimes they are trying and it's not going well. So I actually don't know that it's always effort. The scarier thing is if it's not effort and if it's just simply they're worse. And that would be the thing to be truly concerned with. I don't know whether they might be able to flip a switch because they might be so bored with the regular season that they're not going to really ever see them go full tilt for long stretches of time until the games really start to matter. That might be the entire year. Whether they can or can't later, that's fine. But if they can and the talent is still there, fine. Who cares? You're okay. Well, what if it's not? What if there's regression? What if just guys aren't playing as well this year? Like, what if Jaylen Brown kind of stays in this weird funk he's been in where he's not always consistently himself? What if KP stays at 80%? You know, like, what if Peyton Pritchard, that was a flash in the pan? I mentioned this earlier with Jimmy. What if Sam Hauser's never right? Like, what if Holiday's starting to, like, all of those things are way bigger concerns than they didn't feel like trying tonight. I'd actually feel better if that's all it was.
It's a fair point, and we've talked about it the whole way through. It's not the same year. Jaylen said as much. There's different dynamics. The competition is different, and they are getting teams' best shots. Not to use it as an excuse, but this was pretty incredible what the Kings came out here and did in this game. The amount of shot making, the resistance on the boards, just the execution was super crisp, and they've been better since they fired the coach. So I will give some credit to them in this game. But for you to fade, for you to be dropping your shoulders in the fourth quarter after you're missing a three, the awful play. I mean, did you guys talk about it? The one I posted? I mean, that's the worst play of the year.
Which one?
I don't know if they were in a zone look or something, but Holiday and Brown ran over to Lyles. He swung it right back to Monk. Everyone stopped playing. He shot a three. It bounced right back to Sabonis. Everyone still stopped playing. And I mean, that's where you get an effort, right? And maybe it's just a frustration, things compounding with missed shots or mistakes or whatever. But that's where it's like, what do you do? Like, this is old Celtic stuff we're watching right now. And that's where it gets concerning, John, is I don't know what to attribute it to. It could be lack of execution. It could be lack of time playing together. It could be a lack of urgency coming off the championship. Or, as you mentioned, maybe they're just not as good this year. I don't think that's the case, at least to this point. Like, you're not a 500 team, even if you're a little worse. And that's what they've been over the last 15 games here against a variety of opponents. Orlando without Paolo and Franz. You lost to Oklahoma City, who's obviously at the height of competition, but you've also lost to Indiana a night after you blew them out, and then Philly, who has been playing terrible to start this year. So it's a variety of opponents you're losing against. It's a variety of ways you're losing. And, I heard you guys talking about the Joe thing. That's the first time in 2 years I heard him put up no defense. There's usually a caveat. There's usually deflection. There's usually something there that he's fighting back against when it comes to our perception.
This was bad. We didn't try.
He just put his hands up, and we got killed on the boards. This stuff happens. The scariest part there to me is it doesn't sound like he has an answer, and he might not be revealing it. But
What's
that's it, right?
What's funny is math is part of the answer, because in a couple of these losses, they're not getting up the threes like they used to. Losing the 3-point volume game, not just the makes game, is something you don't see a lot, and it's happened a lot more recently. So the answer, what's funny is a lot of people in here are like, going at Joe over it, and you just said maybe he doesn't have the answer. The answer actually might be getting back to doing what the hell Joe expects you to do and run the freaking offense. As Noah said earlier, Noah said it earlier, trust each other, because that's not happening as much. And just go through your, do the thing you're supposed to do and play the way, I hate to say play Celtics basketball, but play the way that got you here. Here's Jaylen Brown quickly on, kind of what went wrong.
Not fighting through some of these things we were fighting through last year.
We're fighting, we're fighting. We're definitely making, playing some good basketball. We're just figuring it out. I guess that would be your opinion to say that we're not fighting. I think that opinion would be not valid. But it's a different year. Last year is over. We got to figure it out this year, and we got to do whatever it takes. We got a new unit. We've had guys out.
had guys injured. So we just got to treat it as such. It's a new year. Last year's over with. It's basketball at the end of the day, and we got a bunch of talented and intelligent basketball minds. We just have to think the game, and I think just our pace has a lot to do with it. Just get into our spacing. I think a lot. We posted a lot tonight, and it kind of slowed things down, kind of gets guys out of rhythm. And we got to keep the pace and keep everybody engaged. And I think how we get the ball up the floor, how we get to the corners, and all that stuff has an effect on our offense tonight. I just think we were too slow on top of not hitting shots.
I want to hit on too slow because of the things we haven't talked about is, Bobby, we talk about matchups, or I'll throw it at Noah here. We talk about matchups all the time as like being, well, certain teams might be, tougher against them. But I think one thing that you're seeing consistently here is the Celtics look a step slower. And that's another thing that we could say effort. And it might not be effort. It might be that they're slow.
I don't know if this answer is going to make sense to people, but the way I kind of view watching this team is I feel like they're a machine that's like a little broken right now. And watching the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't know how much you guys have gotten a chance to watch them, and I haven't watched most of their games, but whenever I turn the TV on and they're playing, they're just connected. Watching a well-oiled machine. They know where the guy's going to be before he's even there. Like, they're not necessarily playing harder. It's just right now you're watching Cleveland
playing connected.
Yeah, they're connected, but it's like another gear. It really is. And next thing you know, there's guys backdoor cutting. Everybody knows where you're going to be. Right now, watching the Celtics team, it's almost like they're trying to remember how they got to be a historically great offense last year. And you're seeing it in really small flashes, but nowhere near where we saw it last season. And I mean, just thinking about those starts last year where they would just have 10-point leads after first quarters all the time, we're routinely seeing them struggling. After 5 minutes, they're
going back to the start
routinely down. Yeah, so I don't think I view it as like they're being lazy. I don't think I view it as like this is the one fix that's just this guy's been shooting poorly. But the more you're in that routine of just not being a well-oiled machine on offense, the easier it is to adopt bad habits and have different guys be like, I'm going to bail us out because, he's not hitting his shots and we're not clicking. And I think we're seeing like a spillover effect that's just increasing and increasing. And yeah, it's a shell of the offensive team they were last year. Really, there's nothing about this team screams like this is a historical offense. Like this is a very average looking offense right now with the ebbs and flows of most NBA teams.
And it is interesting. Paul mentioned that the fact that they haven't been together, that they haven't played many games this season as a full unit, and maybe that impacts things. I'm sure it does to some degree, but it is pretty stark how much they've struggled to get back to at least consistently what we watched last year in terms of ball movement, pace, and certainly defensive intensity and having that turn into offense. But things have changed, right? Like Pritchard has bailed them out in different spots after 4 starts. So that's something you come to expect. They did change that Tatum-Brown dynamic to open games, John, and it's benefited Tatum a ton. It hasn't helped Brown as much, who, as you mentioned, has played worse this year, less efficient, less in rhythm. So I don't know if that plays into things.
Can't shoot anymore.
And then obviously, so Brown mentioned this. It wasn't in the cut there. Remember how much we complained about the rim protection to start the year and how brutal that was? That was like the biggest problem at the beginning of the year.
That was really only you, yeah. But yeah.
They made an adjustment to that. And it feels like
I said it'll be fine when KP gets back, but yeah.
Yeah, but they also adjusted. It feels like they're going back to taking away the rim at all costs and giving
a lot
up
of double big
shots each night. And yeah, and even in this one, you're down 10-15 in that fourth quarter and you're going double big. And that's allowing jump shots. And certainly they're going to give up the mid-rangers that we saw in this game, but they're giving up threes too. And you mentioned it earlier as well as you, John. They got outshot from 3 in this game. And that's happening more often.
Willingly
recently.
giving up threes. They're not like that's a weird thing to me too.
Is that the right call? I think that's something that they're going to have to ask going forward.
I don't know.
Here, but we're going to throw our hands up and go crazy if they don't protect the rim.
No, you are, but the rest of us will be all right. I want to defend the threes. Well, you know what time it is. Where are we on the panic meter right now, Noah? Are you a little worried for the first time ever in your life about this team? A little bit, teeny bit.
Yeah, I mean, you have to definitely.
All right. She has feelings.
This is for people that know me. She has feelings and worried for the first time do not resonate. But this is not a correct read on me as a person.
The channels of things you hate Tatum.
Yeah, I don't know where
that
that
we
started.
know.
One day you guys can explain that one to me. But yeah, I mean, I think you're worried because
We made it up. That's where it
the
started.
team. I think that's actually what happened. But I think the way that 1 year a team can be magical and then you go look at the following year and it's not the same.
You
Like
said it. No one's moved past the second round the last 6 years.
yeah, and so to me, it's not like I think this team is a bunch of frauds and we should fire Joe and trade Drew and all these crazy things that I'm seeing all over my replies. But I do think there's no reason to think they can recreate the magic of last year until we see it.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but right now we're not seeing it. So I'm not going to say,
Where are
like,
you?
oh, I
Are
100%
you Bobby?
know. No, I don't want to be Bobby.
No.
Wow.
Can I be the white between me and Bobby?
Fine.
That's fair.
I'm up into the Jimmy zone.
There you
Jimmy
go.
zone.
Yeah.
That's where I am too. And by the way,
John,
I'm the
you haven't
white
been in
between-
red recently.
I'm not. I'm the white between Bobby and Jimmy.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm a little higher than you.
Yeah. I'm still not
Jimmy,
there.
are you in your usual position?
I said it earlier, Bobby. I'm not that
How,
like,
John? Are you just gonna keep saying this doesn't matter?
no, I'm not. What I'm saying is I find these games really frustrating because I don't like the discussion afterwards because I don't want to just say, oh, the shots didn't fall, or have Joe Mazzulla tell us that we don't understand what we're watching, or have people say they'll be fine. Nobody knows they'll be fine any more than anybody knows that they won't be. I hate those conversations. I just want to see it. So I find it frustrating because it's frustrating to watch a team that you think can do better, and the conversation's frustrating as hell, and I don't want to have it. So it's now about like theoreticals. Will they pull it together? Are they just bored right now? Are they going to be fine? And I hate it. Like, so I'm frustrated, but I'm not like, oh, they're toast. They're not the same as last year. They hate each other.
but you're halfway there. You're in the middle of the panic meter.
Well, because Noah's mentioned it before, even the favorite has a 30% chance of winning. Like,
Thank you.
No, but it's true. The odds are stacked against you to begin with, even if you are the best team. And they're not playing anywhere near like the best team, which knocks those odds even further. So yeah, all of a sudden, like you're supposed to be up here and still can get knocked down, and you're not. And that's the problem there, is like they're not even close to a level where you can feel that they can go play their best even and win, because other teams are flat out playing better than them. And when they're playing at 75% of their capacity, then it's like, yeah, I am a little worried because that's not going to be good enough.
By the way, how many did the Thunder win by tonight?
They were up 30,
That's a lot.
27 at the half. Yeah. So they stomped
Then
the
you get
Knicks.
the
I
Cavs
mean,
thing. Here's what we have to talk about too. The way it's going, like you can kiss home court to the playoffs goodbye at this point, and probably in the East too. I know there's a long season ahead still, but
Well, it doesn't seem like home court really matters. The way the
maybe you wanna
season's
be on
gone.
the road.
They keep
That's
losing
Even
at
better.
But the point is, this path's going to be much tougher. And I was never one of the guys who was like easiest path ever, but you caught a lot of breaks. And this time you're going to have to do it the hard way. And, maybe that'll bring the best out of this team, seeing the Giannis's and the New Yorks and the Clevelands of the world, and then eventually Oklahoma City. That's what I'm excited for, is whether they can get up for the challenges that are going to await them this time around, because it's going to be much more difficult. That feels inevitable at this point. We're already seeing how much, Porzingis said we're expected to win every night. And there's clearly that burden on them here, along with the fact that the other team's pushing them like crazy. I think that's a real dynamic here in the regular season, is that they are getting their opponent's best shots and they're not responding well to them, whether it's because they don't see, Sacramento here on Friday night as a massive game, or, even Sunday, you went into that marquee game as massive attention and stakes seemingly for some, and, just a lot to play for. And, the first half was good, as you mentioned, John, but the second half, and that's where it's gone wrong for them in a lot of these games, they're just getting pummeled. And you make a great point, John, when it's so often the speed, when it's so often the athleticism beating them, teams that can spread them out and really work them offensively, and Sacramento did here. that's when you get into, ooh, does this team have it talent-wise? They do, right? The shooting's going to be their advantage, but the shooting hasn't been there to start this year, and that's another thing where you're like, is this going to be how it is the whole way?
The one thing I was just going to add is, in an 82-game season, the reason that why I'm not overly panicked is because in an 82-game season, like, there is going to be a stretch where they're going to play a lot better and a stretch they're going to play a lot worse. And we've seen, like, 2022, I mean, we talk about 2023 a lot, but 2022, like, a couple of things go differently. They win the championship, and we all remember how that year started, right? So I just don't think in January, unless you're literally like, everything has gone wrong and you're seeing, this has not been a disastrous season. Like, they're still the third best record in the league.
It's been below expectations, though.
I don't know whose expectations, but
you're an all-time team last year. You run back the same team. People are going to expect it to be similar.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the general expectations.
I mean, they're 2 games below as far as their record from this point last year.
Jimmy, you were the only one who didn't have them won, right?
I didn't have them won.
Oh, okay. So
what?
A couple
Did you have one?
In the East?
Yeah.
I didn't have a team. I think maybe I had Philadelphia, actually. I didn't do like a ranking. I just didn't think Boston was going to have the number 1 seed.
You did. We all did bold takes
picked
and
the field.
predictions. Yeah, forget Noah the field Dalzell. Everything's the field with this one. Unbelievable.
Because the field is
Who's your favorite
the field
team? The field. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're asking me, do you think
give
they're
me
going to be the number 1 seed? No, that's the question, right? You didn't say.
No, the question
regardless,
was,
my point though is that
in
January you're not gonna be able to know. We now know a slice of the pie about this team. Like, there's gonna be another month before the All-Star break.
Oh, what did you
And then
say?
it's gonna be March. It's gonna be March, and it's just too early to know if this is who they are or if this is a skid.
We're halfway through.
You said pie. I'm not gonna,
look what you did, Noah.
It was.
I'm not going to not play the blame pie animation. It's your fault, Noah. So we're starting with you.
By the way, Noah, you had Philly. You had Philly number 1. So
we're not playing pie. I'm not playing pie.
Did I really have them number 1?
Yeah, you might want to scrub that video from the internet.
It's a video?
I'm not blame pieing this loss. I'm blame pieing the funk. What's behind the funk?
Oh, okay, fine.
Blame pie it.
Let's blame pie the funk. Who's starting? Who wants to cut up their pie first?
Here you got, Jimmy.
Well,
be careful with the numbers.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, do you want to write them down first before you announce them?
Here's the thing. I was ready to go like pie crazy on this game. Changes.
Be careful with the numbers is one of the funniest things that's ever said.
I gotta go back and recut this whole pie if we're talking about.
Jimmy had like a 275% pie one night when you were off, John.
I was
about to have another.
When I jumped in late, everyone was still dogging him over it. Yeah.
All right, maybe we shouldn't start with Jimmy.
People forget I had multiple pies, so I had extra slices to give out. Wait, so John, you're making it blame pie for like this point in the season?
This little funk, what they're going through. They're not being
games, yeah.
Them not being the best team in the league. Because again, they're still, as Noah pointed out, doing fine. But something's a little bit off, and they're not dominant in the way that they were last year. And they're not consistently. So something's a little off. Why is it off? Blame pie it.
This is hard, man, because everybody is.
All right, hold on one second.
We're not going to get to 4 pies.
We're gonna mute Jimmy. Let's go, Bobby. We'll get back to Jimmy in a minute.
All right, I think
it's the same way the Celtics get rattled when their shot zone fall. You throw math into the equation, and Jimmy just comes to pieces.
Something about seeing him talking right now, muted in the corner, is killing me.
I'm trying to unmute you. Go ahead.
All right. The problem is, my brain was thinking about this game. Now I'm thinking about the season. But here we go. For the season, I always have to give most of the credit and most of the blame to these 2-star players. Tatum's had a great season. I don't know what's going on tonight or whatever. I can't give him a huge piece of the pie. I got to give him
He's been great.
I got to give him like 10%. I can't really fault him for much. Jaylen Brown's going to get 25. So now I'm up to 35.
Too.
Joe's going to get 25. He's the coach, and he's got these guys all out of sorts right now. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how he deals with some of this turbulence.
Nobody help him.
I'm at 60. Thank you. I'm at 60. Drew Holiday has not had a good season. He's getting 20. That puts me at 80. Shoot, I'm running out of numbers here.
I have so many pies to hand out.
I got 20% left. I got to give 10 to Horford, and I'll give 10 to White. Oh, shit.
Hauser gets off scot-free.
Hauser. Hauser's been hurt. I got to give him a break. He's been hurt. Hauser doesn't get any part of my pie. Bobby, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give both those guys a relative break, but they're on the list. Hauser 10, Holiday 10. I mean, just that small performance below what we saw last year. Even Porzingis, who I think has given them a nice boost since he's been back, but the in and out, they're no fault of his own. You know, you got to go 10 there too. I'm going 30, Joe. I mean,
okay. We're in the same
between bouncing back and forth to the different approaches defensively, I think placing that focus on offense when it has been the defense at times, I think that's been part of the problem here. And then you go, you know, what am I at, 60? 20 Jaylen, who just hasn't played as well this year. I mean, I think he's got to come up number 2 behind Joe there. And then what do we got, 20 left? Sprinkle in 10 White. Again, injuries great early, cooled off a little bit recently. And then, I don't know. After that, I guess 10 Brad. They don't have a depth wing. And
10 Brad. Look at Bobby.
It's a small thing, but they need a depth wing. They've tried Walsh. They've tried Tillman. They've tried all these different guys. And I like the bigs that they have. They have 4 bigs and 1 backup wing. Something they're going to have to fix here. And I have a lot of people tweeting me saying they got to make trades and this and that. No one's going to come in and save them, but they do have to balance these lineups a little bit right now.
No piece for Tatum.
No, I think Tatum's been fantastic.
Some people might beg to differ on certain occasions.
Again, I wrote, and today was another example.
Until she goes.
When they use Tatum more, when Tatum's more involved, when they're running things more through Tatum, they've been better this year. And I bet tonight was another night where they didn't use him as much.
I just got to give him a piece of the pie. I mean, you can't be the superstar, and we can't be talking about a slump and give him 0% of the pie. So I got to give him a piece. He's eating. Put it that way. He's eating. Can't believe Brad. Brad just probably watching the show right now.
I'm gonna give Brad. I'm giving Brad an even bigger piece only because, you know, from the multiple trade downs to end up in the Walsh situation last year, and then the Shireman pick for this year. You haven't given any help.
How about the O'Shea and Lonnie situations?
We just got to stop talking about O'Shea. Like,
I mean,
there is no situation with O'Shea.
There is no O'Shea
except like
situation.
Wasn't he in the rotation?
I can feel John about to freak out when you start to say the word O'Shea.
Wasn't he in the rotation a year ago?
Like once out of every 6 games.
Please.
I mean, no one's in that spot now.
Look, I'm gonna give
situation. What's our situation, Dad?
I'm giving 10 to Irv for not paying the tax on Lonnie.
Yeah.
10.
F you, Irv. Sell the team, you fraud.
Just sell it to someone who will pay Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, we liked it better when
By the way, I
Wick
saw
cut all the checks.
I saw Wick hanging out with some big shots tonight. I didn't know who they were.
Good. Did they give him money?
Yeah. Is his Venmo open?
I was
Did he have a hat?
I was Googling rich people's names.
An open guitar case?
Yeah.
Throw some money in it.
John, you're at what percent? You haven't even put a percent on Brad.
I gave 10 to Irv. I gave 20 to Brad because Brad deserves.
John's going upstairs.
Irv's going to John's going to the front office. He's about to give.
So you re-signed the entire championship team, paid everyone.
Not the entire team.
Rich Gotham. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna give him, John? President Rich Gotham for like the halftime show stink.
10 to the Red Panda.
Yeah, she's been off.
She actually has been a little off.
So those are bad vibes. No, I'll give the 10 and the 20. But Brad deserves 100% of the credit for the roster. We're literally just talking about getting them to another championship, and right now they're short in places where maybe if they'd hit, they'd be better off. It's not that Brad's done a phenomenal job. Everybody here on this Blame Pie list is responsible for way more good than bad, but this is the game we're playing, so we're going to do it. I'm going to go 30% to injuries.
No, that's
at
a
least
cop-out.
right now.
No. Injuries don't get a piece of the pie.
Okay,
Start over.
that's good for me to know. I'm about to throw some games here. Okay.
Injuries do not.
Noah's
get
gonna
a
go
piece of the
100
pie.
injuries.
No.
I can do whatever I want. It's my pie.
Feed a piece of pie to injuries. You got to give it to somebody.
Huh? I'm giving 20 to Jaylen, and
How about the refs?
And 20 to
Yeah,
20 to
seriously.
championship, and 20 to the championship hangover.
Oh my God, that was the
team-wide.
worst.
Team-wide.
That was the most pathetic pie I've ever seen in my life.
It's not the
You're
most
supposed to be a
pathetic
pie
you'll ever
guy,
see, though.
John. You just rolled out the red carpet for Noah to start dishing out pies to like the custodian and a friggin',
the AC.
Lucky gets 30%.
I went at the guys at the top. I'm speaking truth to power. Okay, I will not be called
Injuries
soft.
are a real thing.
Not really. They've been healthy.
Yeah, what do you
They've
mean
been
injuries,
relatively-
John? They're
So-
fine. They're a full roster tonight. They've got like three
Someone-
losses with a full roster.
Someone put out a chart the other day, and I was glad I
Bobby.
saw it because I wanted to. No, I actually want to stack this up because everyone's saying injuries. They've missed.
Yeah.
They've missed the 5th fewest games to injuries, the 10th fewest minutes, but they're
That might
11th
be.
in the LeBron rating of the players that they've had out. So they've had key guys out for
Run
short
rating. Oh
stretches.
boy. All right, Noah,
That's the deal.
cut this thing up.
The only reason I put out the injuries is because
You're soft?
Because Porzingis, I could have given it to Porzingis, but it's not his fault. He's just
Kind
not
of crazy.
there
They
yet.
were fine when he was out.
By,
for the
by
most part.
injuries, by injuries, I mean only Porzingis and Hauser being reduced has
The
hurt
Hauser
their
one's
play.
You said, "What's the pie?" You wanted to play this pie game for the recent
I
stretch.
that was a legit slice of pie. there.
Porzingis has been
Fine,
in
I'll
for this
give it.
stretch.
I'll give it to Porzingis and Hauser. Then who cares? I'm
you
talking
think they
about.
stink?
25.
So you think they stink?
I'm talking about the injuries being a factor because those guys are less than what they were. Not that they've missed games and been hurt by it. They're not missing a lot of games relative to other teams. Those guys just aren't right now, and that's hurting them. It's been hurting them.
Yeah,
and Holiday
Porzingis said that.
Whatever Holiday was doing pre-shoulder, he was awful too. So
all right,
Yeah,
the
Porzingis said after
integrity
the
of the
game,
pie.
he would blame some of their issues on his integration back into the lineup and some of the inconsistencies there. And he was in and out, for the first 4 or 5 games there.
Yeah.
Noah, you're
all right,
up.
Noah.
You're not going to get
pie
out.
it up.
He hasn't played more than 4 games in a row.
No,
He's done 4 twice.
Next.
No, pie
I'm just
time.
saying a fact.
I'm just saying.
Didn't you already do the pie?
We don't
Yeah,
do
I did
the
the pie.
Hey, Noah, welcome to the show. We
Right?
don't care
I
about
think we all
facts.
did the pie.
We all
Pie
did the
time.
pie.
What did Noah do? What was yours? Remind us.
Yeah.
Oh, did you not? You might not have, actually.
She did not.
She went
Bobby.
first, and she got out of it. That's what it was.
You said it so confidently.
Yeah.
Now I know how confident you sound spreading misinformation.
Seriously, yeah.
Okay.
Not
I
confident
mean,
about
again,
that
I just want to
suit,
say, I get it's a fun exercise. I get it's a fun exercise, but it is really hard to take a team game and to try to put blame on individual players
Oh
when,
my
when
God.
it's not about. I'm just saying, it doesn't really make sense to me. But
Hit the music. We got a slow violin.
okay, I'm gonna say the players first because I have to do the math later.
What percent?
Okay, Drew, 20%.
Okay.
Jaylen, 30%.
Wow.
Wow.
Am I running into Jimmy here?
No.
You're already halfway through this pie.
Hauser, 25%.
Wow.
What am I at?
You're at
75.
75.
Yeah. You better start.
Um,
You better start slicing slivers here. Or maybe
25
not.
to go.
Tillman, 5%.
Ooh.
Tillman.
I mean,
Well, hey,
You did expect he'd do something this year.
Louise one like earlier comment defended Noah's the only one I like, and then you gave Jaylen 30% of the pie, and she just lost her shit.
See, I'm not gonna make it to 100 though because I was ready to give
Tillman
a lot more
catching
people.
strays.
I'm on my way to like 200, honestly.
All
I
right,
need to
we'll
start
keep it
with
going.
Can I just say I think it's pretty equal. I think besides for Tatum, who's had a better season than he had last year, Pritchard's had a better season than he has last year. Everybody else can be divided equally.
How many people in the organization?
I wouldn't put anything on the front office because I think that they've done a really good job bringing everybody back, and they're going to make a move before the deadline. So
I think they're going to make a move.
I think they're going to make a move. So it's just that people are mad that they didn't make a move between the championship year and the following season when they said from the beginning they're going to see how the first half of the year goes.
That move's not going to save them. It's important. I think
We don't know what it's going to be, but
their top 8 has to come through here. And you know what kind of annoys me, Jimmy? It's becoming more and more each game that they do it. Can you find a way to get Kada involved every night? Like, why does he end up on the bench so often?
Why is he a bit player?
When he's your most dynamic, we
a
talking
what
about
player?
Bit, B-I-T, bit player. A guy that you kind of just stick in like here and there. He's not.
I was going to bring him up, Bobby. I was going to ask you because I thought it was
good. John's back.
Didn't he come in Denver?
It was
Didn't
too
he come
early.
in Denver?
Why isn't he playing, guys? Why isn't he playing?
Because
it was too early to bring him up earlier, but I'm glad somebody did because it's weird.
He's your most athletic, dynamic, best rebounding physical force that you have. And their biggest issues right now seem to be speed, athleticism, just forcefulness.
All those things
and
that
he
you're
comes in
looking
the game. Yeah. And that what was the second quarter in Denver? 4-5, 4 dunks, 4 finishes inside.
He's a momentum
and
changer.
It's a real game changer. Yeah. And he makes mistakes. It's the Rob Tice conversation again, John. And Luke's been fantastic. Luke's on this stretch of 2-3 weeks here where he's been so good that he's just so far above Kada on that chain that when those guys are all healthy, they're going to go Luke most nights. But in Denver, you found a sliver of time there in the second quarter.
When they were both healthy, there was a stretch of time when they were both healthy that Kada had passed him.
He's part of this
I don't
team.
know. I don't know. I like Luke's good and done good things, but what happened? Where did it go?
what
happened there?
That should have been your first question today.
What was the
Why
magic?
didn't Kada play?
Yeah, what was the magic number for Sabonis rebounds before Kada got like a look? Was it 40?
Great point, Jimmy.
Was it 30?
Great
Was it
point.
40? Like at what point was Joe like, you know what? Maybe we should try to like box this guy out. Hey,
It's bizarre.
Kada, come on in.
You left your best rebounder on the bench, and Sabonis is literally just he snatched 30 boards. It's ridiculous.
Modern day
he's a great
Moses
defensive
Malone.
Yeah, just having someone who can compete physically out there. And again, if it doesn't go well, you can take him out. But there's no real excuse with what he's given you this year to sit him on a bench for an entire game at this point. He's got to be involved to some degree.
Yeah.
And there goes more Joe.
So yeah, that's why the blame pie doesn't
Bigger
work for me because I'm opting out.
You're not getting out of it.
Let me ask you this: what if anything goes to Joe right now? I didn't give him a slice of my pie because I think it's a cop out to blame the coach. I don't think there's anything Joe's doing right now.
That's hilarious. You saying it's a cop out. You gave it to injuries and like Irving.
No, I think the coach is. I think the coach is the laziest thing to blame stuff on because when you don't know what's wrong, you're like freaking Joe. And
Figure it out, Joe. Yeah, exactly.
The reason I don't like talking about coaching is that there's a whole coaching staff, and we don't have a clue what conversations are happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
We don't know if there's 3 schools of thought right now that are in competition, and Joe's losing. Like we really don't know what the discourse looks like. And it's the most frustrating thing to me about covering an NBA team is that how little of access and understanding we have about the coaching staff, because I think we hear from the players all the time. But
Yeah,
it's
like
just
in football,
really
John,
hard. Yeah,
you guys talk to the coordinators every week or so. There, you
True.
do.
Yeah, they get-
we haven't
you
heard
get
from
them
anybody
weekly.
except for DJ over the summer.
And you know what Joe's gonna say almost every night. So
Yeah.
there is a lack of insight there in terms of what
weird.
schools of thoughts are going into things. But we do know that they've changed their defensive approach multiple times this year. Is that some disagreement there on the staff? Is that some reaction to what the league's been doing against them? We clearly saw, John, at the start of the year, the teams are trying to get up threes in droves against them and try to utilize that against them. And we knew that was going to happen this year, and they haven't reacted great to it. So,
John,
that's
how
a
can
question
you not,
going forward.
How can you not even have the conversation of Joe being in the blame pie We talk about Mazzulla ball. We talk about the amount of 3-pointers this team takes.
Because
they play
ironically,
the
I
game
think-
a certain way.
Ironically, I
and
think they need to play more Mazzulla ball right now. I actually think they're not doing the Joe thing.
I was waiting for them to start launching threes tonight, and they didn't. It was strange.
I also think defensively,
They
like
missed
if
all
you
their
really
threes.
look at what, yeah, but if you really look at what went wrong today, like it's individual players playing bad defense. Unfortunately, like I don't actually don't know how much a coach can do. When I saw, Jaylen, Drew, Tatum, like one by one, just getting beat in ways where
But the coach doesn't talk about. He says offense is
But
defense.
Bobby, we have no idea what he's saying to them. We don't have a clue. He could
Yeah,
be
do you know
going
why-
in
do you
there
know
and
why
saying,
he's say-
"You guys are the laziest 15 people I've ever met in my entire life, and none of
Yeah.
you guys deserve to even play." here."
Exactly.
Like, we don't have a clue. He would never say it to us because he doesn't
Bobby, do
believe
you
in it.
exactly?
we
Do you know
lived this
why
in
he's saying
2023.
offense, Bobby? You know why he's saying offense? Because we're
Why?
saying defense, and that's why.
Yeah.
Because we come.
And because I think defense is viewed as like you don't care, whereas offense is like, oh, poor
Yeah.
them, they can't figure it out.
They talk
right,
about
but
defense a
you
lot
walk
last
into
year?
that room, and you start saying what's wrong with the defense. He's going to be like, actually, it was the offense. And if you said your offense isn't great, it'd be like, we got great looks all night. We just got to tighten it up on defense. There's a contrarian aspect to a lot of Joe Mazzulla's press conferences. So again, I don't take much stock in anything that he says. I really don't. Whether to Noah's point, he's back there, I covered for your ass in the press conference, but what a lazy ass, blah, 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 blah. You have no idea what's going on there. What
He
type of
probably is, too.
conversations. And he might be drilling down on the defense instead of worrying about the offense, in their next film session and be like, what are we doing here, guys?
I'm just saying
I don't.
thematically, John, it's been a lot more offense than defense this year. Last year, it was a lot more defense than offense, generally, at least compared to 2023, where it was always offense. It was never defense. You don't understand the sides of the ball are connected. And then when they're down 3-0 in the East Finals, we lost our defensive identity, which you don't want to end up there again. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Any other leftover thoughts, Noah, we didn't cover from tonight that was, things you noticed or worth talking about?
The crowd sucked.
Yeah?
Because they booed?
No, not because they booed, because in the first half they weren't even into it. I have to say,
I like the booing.
My
just came back
brother
from
was
being
at
on
the
road.
game, Noah. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Well,
Put him on the blame pie.
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
gets
gonna say, I just
he
came
gets
from
a
a road
slice.
trip, and we were in Houston, we were in Denver, and we were in OKC, and OKC has the best crowd in the league, not even close. We're down by 10, and that crowd was insane. And in this building, there's the same mentality that I think the media has, that almost the same mentality that maybe like the players have too. But when things aren't going perfect, this place goes silent. I think I felt the same way last year. I felt the same way in the playoffs. It's a sense of entitlement. Maybe it's Boston. Maybe it's just like used to culture of winning, whatever it is. But part of the home struggles, I don't think this place is really boosting them the way that they should. And maybe it's because the players aren't inspiring them. I get that. But it's a symbiotic relationship. And right now, I don't know that there's much of a home court. When you're on the road, there's like these really passionate Celtics fans that are flying in from all over the place, that are engaged, that are starting chants. They were chanting in the Nuggets game when they were losing. And at halftime, they had that terrible second quarter and the Celtics fans were chanting. So there's a sense of there's something in this building that I think could use a boost.
Game time.
And your
Game
podcast
time.
is called what again? What's the name of your podcast, Noah?
You got
None of your
Boston.
business.
You got Boston, huh? Interesting.
What's interesting, I think it's a combination of the having seen it with multiple teams, throughout my 70 years in the Boston media. You do have that kind of drop off after you win because you chase it, you get it, and it falls. Also, I think to fall victim, I'm not trying to be a class warrior here, but like the Celtics are the only
it's absolutely
game.
true.
The Celtics are the only game in town worth seeing. So this is where the money's going right now. So you might not necessarily have the truest fans out here because no one's spending a dime going to see any of these other crap teams in town. So the only entertainment you're going to see and worth getting is that.
Red Sox.
So friggin', Joe Wellesley over here bringing his kids, who don't care and just want, hats and popcorn. Like, yeah, you might not
There's
get
a kid screaming in my ear all game.
Yeah,
I mean, the Thunder tickets were $35 to get in on Sunday. So
Right.
I know they have a different currency over there, but
Yeah.
it does feel like these games are, and I feel this way in the playoffs. I feel like the deeper they go into the playoffs, the more unaffordable the tickets get. But that's not why they're losing. It was just an observation from having been to a bunch of different arenas recently. This feels like
I'd like to.
This
you know,
isn't a
get
hard.
healthy.
It's not a hard place to win if you're a road team. That's what you're saying, Noah, and it's showing up in the
Right.
Celtics record right now. Teams aren't scared to
I mean,
come here. And
they
does
already
that
have 3 more losses here than all last year, 2 or 3, something like that.
does that
Yeah.
have anything to do with softness?
No.
Oh God.
John, you said you wanted to circle back to this.
No, we talked about it a little bit. Like I said, I think that Brandon Jennings' comments are stupid, but it's just interesting that it's going to follow Tatum wherever he goes because that's the guy he's going to that's how he's viewed in some circles outside the NBA. It's not that, it's just really a matter of that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be.
Wasn't on my blame pie.
Brandon Jennings.
I didn't put Tatum on my blame pie. He's playing better this year than last year. Like Noah said, who's up? Pritchard is up. Kada is up. Tatum is up.
Kada.
I'd say
Luke
is up. Yep.
Up a little bit. There you go.
Lucas Smidge.
I put him on mine.
Derek White's flat, but he's had more stinkers than I remember last year. Like more,
Jordan Walsh?
He's had more. Walsh is out of the conversation. I don't want to talk about Jordan Walsh
get a
until he gives us a
piece.
reason.
You
Okay,
have to be-
I'm
you have
not
to
mad
be-
at him, but I just he's like
He's
sick. Snuffleupagus.
right now, John.
You have to qualify for the blame pie in order to get a piece.
Yeah.
I want to see him get a few more chances this month.
And by the way,
Whether he plays that
if
spot.
everyone wants to like take a victory lap because they didn't put Tatum on their blame pie, originally, John, you said it was for the recent stretch of play. You didn't say it was for the whole season. So if I go look at the recent stretch, there have been some games where Tatum has no show. And tonight was one of them. That's why he shows up in my blame pie. Nobody's safe when I'm handing out slices. Nobody.
Tatum.
It's your pie.
Yeah, it's your pie. It's your pie. So that's it. We're done. We've got another one on Sunday. Zion,
revenge
fresh
game.
fresh off suspension.
Zion.
Bobby,
Did they win
Bobby
tonight?
gets
They probably lost, right?
They won, I think. I saw 76ers fans.
They lose
freaking out.
every night.
Hey, don't let Zion out on Hanover Street in the North End.
They
Oh
won.
my God.
All right.
You might have to call
The
out
Pelicans
Sundays.
are
You might have
the
to call out
Pelicans are
Sundays
8-31.
Oh, they won tonight.
I have never seen a team
They're
play
8-31. Oh
Pelicans
my
beat the
God!
Sixers. Sorry, Noah.
I mean, at
I
one
knew
point
they
this
were-
year, they were starting a couple of G Leaguers, Jeremiah Robinson,
I
Earl,
remember.
Javonte
Yeah.
Green. Like they
They've
were
been ravaged
down to
Yeah.
the bottom 5. Yeah. So, but they haven't been much better since they got healthy. It's terrifying.
non-Embiid game, but yes, Philadelphia goes down 123-115.
Non-Embiid's so
Zion did throw down a
McCann,
crazy dunk the other night, though.
yeah. I don't know that guy. What a disappointment
You,
he is.
I mean,
You and Jimmy
Sixers
owe
are
an
in big
apology
trouble.
cam on that one.
No,
What one?
Zion, Ingram,
wrong.
versus
At the time of the
Tatum, Brown.
conversation,
Yeah.
99% of the NBA agreed with me.
Well, what happened?
What doesn't matter at
what?
that at the moment in time? Zion.
Come on,
Williamson
just give
was
us one. Give
was
us
I-
one
was I-
apology
was-
cam.
What did Joe
And-
say? He wants the media that was wrong about takes to start apologizing. John.
Did he?
Yeah,
Throw it up.
pregame.
Huh? There's no way for that moment in time when Zion Williamson. All we were arguing was then we weren't
I
projecting
said, yeah. I said,
forward.
who'd you rather have right now?
We're
Can we start
literally
playing old
talking-
clips on this show?
Absolutely,
Like old
we
takes of you
can.
guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
The fact,
Absolutely
no,
we
the thing
can.
was, it was like
The greatest
insane.
hits.
It was insane.
You
that
were
he
saying
like
in that.
broach it
You
up.
were saying in
I
that
haven't-
moment, Jason Tatum was considered a higher. I'm like, no, he's not. Look at
It was.
any,
Would
like,
you rather
pre-
have Tatum or Brown?
No, it was
or
who's
Ingram
the
and
hotter
Zion?
commodity, and Zion at that
Bobby will
moment in
find
time
this
was,
clip in no time.
was a
Listen.
top 3 NBA commodity. He was a god, and then he died.
Zion became like he got sponsored by like Doritos and Mountain Dew, and he became like a method actor and like all his
Oh
commercials.
my god.
Commercial.
He literally like took on the role of like I'm going to actually promote these products and
On
I'm
the
gonna
couch.
eat them
Yeah,
and
it
drink
wasn't a
them
good look.
all day. And he ate, as our good friend Stephen A. Smith said, Bobby, what did he eat? The table.
No.
He
Yeah,
ate
he
the
ate the
table.
table, that's right.
And
He
so
looked
that's
pretty skinny the other night, though.
I saw a belly.
belly. He ate
Listen,
the table.
I want nothing more for that guy to figure it out. I mean, we have just What have we talked about? Ratings going down and this. And to have a guy of that caliber just be a complete no-show the last few years is so brutal for the sport.
I mean, dude shows up to play, does a windmill, does a 360 windmill dunk, and then that's it. You don't see him for another week. It's crazy.
It's unreal. And then he's suspended today. What, he missed the flight?
He missed the flight.
But I think we need to stop focusing on the stars that have been no-showing and instead give all that oxygen to the stars that have shown up, because I feel like we have so much discourse around like John Moran and the gun and Zion Williamson and there's all these other stars that came out of nowhere.
I'm sorry. Aren't you the one who wanted to do a drama segment?
Yeah, I'm down for that. No, I like the drama.
what we're
I'm just
doing
saying, I don't
right
think it's a
now.
good ratings thing.
Drama segment. Zion suspended.
I know, but it's not our job to boost ratings. I think ultimately you're going to
No,
talk
I know.
about
I was just
whatever's
saying Bobby was
interesting.
saying about the ratings.
Yeah.
These guys are missing in action. Ben Simmons' career fell apart, and so many of these guys.
We'll end on a positive note.
We've had some tough arguments for sure.
We'll end on a positive note. Forget about the star-based rating or the drama and this and that. The best thing that happened to the NBA was the OKC Cleveland game 2 nights ago, where everybody saw amazing basketball, and it wasn't necessarily star-focused, and that was probably the better thing. So again, maybe executives start to get the hint that quality product is better than just rolling out a bunch of guys whose names people know who may not even be playing that night or aren't playing well or are injured
It's
or
like
getting
they
old.
finally figured it out that night. Yeah,
They can't get out. They can't get off it. They really do. It's an interesting problem, right? Because Curry and LeBron and those guys are still marketable and they're big names, but they're also what's killing you because everybody's freaking tired of those guys, and you're not doing a good job pushing forth your younger, these other teams and these other stars and
stink, yeah,
and their teams stink. So it's so tired watching these guys. Yeah,
you just don't. It's the name, but the name doesn't match the player anymore. You know what I mean? It's gone. It's not there.
Yeah.
Except LeBron, people are still gonna watch LeBron. But other than that, you need some of the younger guys.
Let's wrap it up.
Give me more Sabonis.
I love Sabonis. What a joy to watch.
Is he?
You know his dad's a Celtics fan. Celtics should have figured out a way to get Sabonis somehow.
We talked about
His
it.
dad-
We had long conversations about that.
He's
Remember
not
Rob
your
for Sabonis?
Vetus. He's not my Vetus. He's our Vetus.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice, John.
Sabonis. That was
one of my top 5 favorite.
That was one of
players.
the
Love that guy.
sports center isms. Yeah.
DeMontis.
Okay. Yeah. No, So who got the better end of that trade?
Jamie, I'm trying to wrap this show. I've been trying for a long
Next time.
And
Next
every time I
on the
do,
Garden
you just
Report.
kinda keep coming in there. Yeah.
All right, Noah, top 10 favorite players in the league right now.
Trying
Go.
so hard. Yeah. Trying so hard.
Next time.
Good night, everybody.
I got nowhere
We'll
to
see
be.
you guys later. Bye.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to
Same.
feel that
Same
way.
to you.
Let's fly Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke